Hey, welcome. It's Lisa Lane Brown from The Courage to Win. If your wife seems cold or distant, it is not random. It's her nervous system protecting herself. Today, I'm going to give you the exact words to reconnect with a 7-day plan without pressure, without mind games, and without making things a heck of a lot worse. I coach couples who are in crisis to help them fall back in love madly and passionately. And a lot of people come to me and they ask me the question, why is my wife or partner suddenly cold and distant or up and down like a yo-yo? And what does it actually mean? You know, when a partner is cold, it's usually a signal that they don't feel emotionally safe, right? Safety is low and the pressure feels really, really high. And this is protection mode. It's not a character flaw. So if you've been in this loop where you're pursuing and your partner is shutting down and retreating and being cold and acting weirdly distant, this video is going to help you flip that cycle. Let me tell you about 2 clients I worked with, Martin and Madison. Of course, not the real names. So they fell madly in love, and for a while, everything was wonderful, everything was perfect. But then Madison's dad got sick, and this crisis just consumed her life. And Martin felt very neglected, and he got scared, and he started to worry about losing Madison, and they had some arguments. And, you know, Martin would get loud during arguments. He would get sarcastic, right? His tone would change. It wasn't so much even the volume of his voice, but his tone was a little bit mean. And when this would happen, you know, she would start to shut down and pull away. And then eventually she walked out, and he was absolutely floored, completely mystified. You know, he thought we're going to be together forever. And when Martin approached me, I immediately saw the issue. It was just obvious to me that the way his tone was and his body language was when they would argue was the problem. And sometimes his voice would get very loud. But in his family, when the family that Martin grew up in, that was NBD. That was no big deal. They did that all the time. They were sarcastic all the time. And for him, it just didn't mean anything. But this is what was happening inside Madison when he used a harsh tone with her. So her brain would fire off a warning signal. She would go into what psychologists call the fight or flight response. And she would register his voice as potential rejection or even, actual danger. And so her heart rate would increase, her stress response would flood her system, and her body would prepare to defend itself or try to escape. This isn't something that Madison chose. It's how our brains are often wired to protect us. The next thing that would happen to her is what's called attribution theory. This is what happens when we think, okay, well, what did I do wrong, right? In close relationships, we tend to blame ourselves and not outside circumstances. Psychologists know this through attribution theory. And so Madison would think, well, if he's this mad, right, and he's talking to me this harshly, I must have done something wrong. Or worse, maybe I'm not the kind of wife that he actually wants. Then the third thing that would happen is something that called emotional contagion. Emotions are contagious, right? We catch them from each other. So Martin would be angry, and then Madison would catch that anger, but because she was getting the anger directed at her, all of a sudden it would go inward. She would turn that anger inward, and she would feel doubt, and she would feel shame towards herself. So after a while, Madison would just start to feel that she wasn't good enough. All these harsh interactions would create what we call negative self-attribution. She thought, well, this is all just evidence that I'm not good enough as a wife. So why she goes cold, it's not what you think. So here's the key point, and here's what most men do not understand. When Madison became cold and distant, Martin thought, oh, she doesn't love me anymore, right? She's pushing me away. She's rejecting me. But that's not what was happening. Madison wasn't trying to hurt Martin. She wasn't even trying to push him away. In her mind, creating distance was a teaching tool. Okay, she was trying to save the relationship. What Madison understood intuitively is that if she pulled back, Martin would notice. And then maybe he would start to think about his behavior and how it was affecting her. She hoped that he would figure out he wasn't really listening to her about the way he was communicating. Now, this is something everybody knows deep down, because when people are upset with us, we don't respond to criticism very well. We don't respond to confrontation very well. What people respond to is less contact. And so she knew that. Her coldness wasn't giving up on him. It was her unconscious strategy to get him to wake up and treat her a little bit better. So the problem is Martin had no idea this was a strategy. To him, it just felt like basic rejection. This is what we call a hidden termite in a relationship. I see these common issues all the time. So you know why I see it and you can't in your relationship is because in our own relationship, we're so emotional, we can't see the forest for the trees. Most people think, well, the mistakes I'm making, I get sarcastic or I get too upset in an argument. They think, well, that's not serious. You know what's serious is a big addiction or gambling the mortgage away or infidelity. They don't realize that these hidden termites can eat away at our marriage from the inside out. So I'm not saying that you've got a harsh tone like Martin or that your voice gets loud or you get sarcastic. Maybe that's not your issue at all. Maybe you're a little bit defensive. Maybe you're an alpha and a little bit too dominant, right? Maybe you stonewall your partner. So we are all a work in progress and we all make mistakes. We just don't realize how they make our partner actually feel. So here are the common mistakes that we will do when our partner is acting really cold. Number one, we'll argue with them. We'll tell them that they're wrong. We'll try to convince them, hey, look at everything I'm doing to make your life heaven on earth, right? We'll interrogate them. What's going on? Tell me what's wrong. Tell me right now. And that's pressure, which doesn't make them feel emotionally safe. And we'll start talking about the future. I'm going to make big plans and big promises, which aren't believable. Okay. So all those things create more pressure and they frighten the person. They frighten your partner even more. So here's a very simple 3-step plan to turn things around and reconnect within a 7-day period or sooner. Number one, do an opening apology. Okay, keep it short and sweet. Say, look, I'm really sorry. I wasn't listening to you. I wasn't calm. I wasn't treating you with the tone that you deserve, or whatever it is, right? Just, I'm very sorry. I wasn't allowing you to influence me, and I'm committed to doing a better job. And keep it simple. Then for the next few days, small talk and happy talk only, right? Just how's it going? What's going on? Talk about something that you saw on the internet and anything that's just fun. Keep it light and breezy. Towards the end of the week, you're going to give a more in-depth, heartfelt apology. Okay. You're going to, if you want to write it out and read it, that's okay. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to comment about the way that you have reflected on your behavior. And you're going to give an in-depth apology. So it could be, if it were Martin, it would be something like this. Hey, Madison, I owe you a real, genuine apology. When I got loud and harsh with you, I was putting my frustration on you instead of dealing with my own stress. You were going through hell when your dad got sick and you were completely a mess. And instead of supporting you, I didn't allow you to feel safe in your own relationship. And I've hurt you and I'm going to manage myself better so that you don't have to feel unsafe and you don't have to feel like you have to protect yourself from me. Don't ask for forgiveness. Don't ask for anything. Just deliver that apology. Okay. Now, of course, after that, you got to be consistent. You can't, do it the following week. And like if it were Martin, you can't start yelling the very next week or at all for that matter. So Martin and I worked together and we worked on to make him a consistently more diplomatic communicator with her. It worked very, very well. They're still together and they're very happy. So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking, man, I could use a little bit of help. Well, I've got some help and I would like to help you. Go below and download my free ebook. It's called How to Save Your Marriage and Stop Your Divorce. It'll work though if you're not separated or not in a crisis as well. It'll help get your marriage even better than it is right now. And take a look at it. It's free. It's an ebook. It's full of practical advice and strategies. Don't forget to tell me what you think about it and this video in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and watch my next video. My name is Lisa Lane Brown. I'm from The Courage to Win, and I'll talk to you again soon.